All right, we are back. Example 4, last one here on 6.3, and we're at the dreaded story problems. Okay, so this says a Chinook wind is a warm mountain wind that can cause rapid temperature changes. The table shows 3 of the greatest temperature drops ever recorded after a Chinook wind occurred. On which date did the temperature drop the fastest? So we have 3 dates here: January 10th, -3 1/10 per minute; November 10th, -5/8 per minute, degrees Fahrenheit; and January 22nd, -2 1/5 degrees Fahrenheit. So, fastest. Let's see. We're going to graph them all on a number line. So you got all these 3 numbers on the number line. And -3/10 is farthest to the left, or 3 1/10, sorry. So the temperature dropped the fastest on this day. This is the lowest, and so it dropped the fastest. It dropped the most in 1 minute. This is the greatest distance from 0. So this is not the greatest number, but this question is a little bit different. It wants to know which one dropped the fastest. So think if you were on a one of those. You ever been on the Supreme Scream? I think it's called at Silverwood, where you sit in the tower, and then you go to the top, and your legs are dangling, and you're sitting around it, and then drop super fast. That's still negative, but it's going so fast. So the fastest one is this one. Let's take a look at another one. Which is the least? -1 3/4, -1 9/16, or -1 5/8. So now we have something that we have to go back to from when we did fractions, and we have to get a common denominator so that we can see which one is the least. And I can see the common
Which
denominator
is
here
the
might be
least?
16.
-1
Right?
and
Let's take a look.
3/4, -1 and 9/16, or -1 and 5/8. To solve this problem, we will graph the mixed numbers on a number line. Because the denominators of the fractions are different, we need to rewrite some of the fractions so that they have the same denominator, which in this case is 16. Start with 3/4. To write an equivalent fraction, multiply the numerator and denominator by 4. So we have 3 times 4 in the numerator and 4 times 4 in the denominator. 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 times 4 is 16. So, -1 and 3/4 is equal to -1 and 12/16. Next, use 5/8. To write an equivalent fraction, multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. So we have 5 times 2 in the numerator and 8 times 2 in the denominator. 5 times 2 is 10, and 8 times 2 is 16. So, -1 and 5/8 is equal to -1 and 10/16. Now we can graph the numbers. Start with a blank number line. Because all the numbers have a denominator of 16, use increments of 1/16 to label the number line. Also, because the numbers are between -2 and -1, these can be your endpoints on the number line. To graph -1 and 12/16, draw a closed circle at -1 and 12/16. To graph -1 and 9/16, draw a closed circle at -1 and 9/16. To graph -1 and 10/16, Draw a closed circle at -1 and 10/16. On a number line, numbers to the left are less than numbers to the right. Because -1 and 12/16 is to the left of the other two numbers, -1 and 12/16 or -1 and 3/4 is the least. Which is the least? -1 and 3/4, negative.
So -1 and 3/4, even though it didn't look like it.
Negative.
Even though it didn't look like it, -1 and 3/4 actually ended up being the least. So now we're going to copy and complete the statement using less than or greater than. We got 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's skip number 8. But draw a number line and figure out these ones. Which one greater than, less than? Go ahead and pause your video. 1, 2, 3, pause. All right, now that you're back, let's take a look. -4/7 is less than -1/7. -1 2/3 is greater than -1 5/6. So you had to get a common denominator there. And then -0.5 is less than 0.3. If you drew your number lines, then there's no you probably got those correct. So make sure we're using those number lines. Great job. We'll see you at the mini assessment.